Welcome to Charter Local Edition. I'm Brad Pomerance at the National Association of Counties Convention in Long Beach. We are joined by Salud Carbajal. He is a supervisor in Santa Barbara County, but he is now a nominee for the United States Congress. He is running for the seat currently held by Lois Capps. She is not running for re-election. He has advanced to the general election in November. Congratulations, sir. You came in first place.
Thank you very much.
Talk to us about that election before we talk about some county issues.
Well, we're off to the general.
Right.
And I'm going to continue doing what I did in the primary, and that's traversing the entire 24th district, meeting with residents and families, and just making sure I understand what's important to them and what keeps them up at night.
And so let's talk about running for supervisor versus running for Congress. Because here you were in beautiful Santa Barbara County. I assume you had 1/5 of the county?
Yes.
And now you're running in all of Santa Barbara County, all of San Luis Obispo County, and I think a small piece of Ventura County. A lot more people.
Yes.
And so what have you heard? What keeps them up at night? Is it different?
I think a lot of the same issues, but on a broader scale. You know, what keeps them up at night? I come across seniors that are concerned about the sustainability of Social Security and Medicare and how they're going to be impacted year to year. I run into people who feel that our country is not acting more aggressively on addressing climate change and environmental issues. I run into many women who feel that their reproductive health care is under assault constantly in Washington, and they want to make sure that their health services and rights are protected. So those are just a few of the many issues that I come across day in and day out when meeting with residents throughout the district.
And this is an interesting year to be running for a federal office. We have the Clinton-Kaine ticket. We have the Trump-Pence ticket. Some would argue these are not traditional tickets. We have a woman at the top of one ticket. We have a non-politician reality star at the top of the other ticket. How does that impact your race, the fact that this is such a non-traditional year?
Well, no doubt it'll impact the area, but I'm just focused on my campaign and my race. Certainly my opponent is on record supporting Donald Trump and all that he stands for. So I think the debates that are coming forth in the next few months will be lively and an opportunity for us to show our contrasts, our differences, and the choice that people on the Central Coast will have.
What's interesting about your current position versus your potential future position, folks may not realize how intertwined county government and the federal government are. So much of the federal dollars that are sent to local governments are going to counties. And so talk to me about how that informs you as you move towards a visit to Washington.
Well, just to give you some rough numbers.
Please.
Out of $1 billion that is Santa Barbara County's budget, about 250 million is the general fund. And the general fund is what we have discretionary to do various things locally. But the rest of that, 750 million, is federal and state money that comes to local communities. Exactly. When we think of transportation policy, that's something that there's a major federal nexus. When we think of health and human services, children's health care, these mental health issues, services, those are federal programs that come through to the local communities.
Let's talk about transportation, if we may. Federal government funds a lot of local transportation projects, state transportation projects. But as I understand it, they are changing the way that they are funding these types of projects. There had been what's known as the Surface Transportation Program, but that's moving now to a block grant program.
Yes.
Explain that for us, for the folks of us that are not clear on the intricacies of federal funding to county governments.
You know, over the years, transportation funding has evolved and changed. The National Highway System is one that, for example, was funded a certain way and eligibility for certain projects existed or certain criteria. And that's evolved over the years.
I remember actually when the federal government wished that all states increase their drinking age to 21, that what was the carrot or stick that they used? We're going to take away your federal transportation dollars.
What block grant means is that every state, based on a criteria of factors, is going to be eligible to receive so much funding allocation. And then based on the criteria that the federal government has outlined for eligibility, states will have some discretion.
More discretion than before? Is that the key?
I think they're going to have some discretion. I'm not sure that it's necessarily more.
So are you a fan of this shift?
Well, I think that what I'm a fan of is that Congress work in a bipartisan fashion to really fix our transportation challenges and infrastructure needs. This is one of the few instances where Congress has come together to pass the FAST Act,
right?
Which is the transportation bill,
right?
And it's one of the few things that they have actually agreed to move forward. And as you know, there's gridlock in Washington. They rarely agree on things, and it's been very unfortunate. But this is one of those few instances where they've been able to come together to move forward a 5-year bill to fund our infrastructure throughout our nation.
So how will that help the Central Coast, for example?
Well, I'll give you an example. We have our highways, and we have our bridge system. And what this is going to do is give us the type of funding, sometimes matching funds. We have to provide state funds and local funds as well. Take example, Santa Barbara County. We have the 101 Highway Expansion Bill, or not so much the bill, project, should I say.
Right.
The local community taxed themselves $140 million of that $425 million price tag.
Okay.
The rest of that funding is going to have to come from the federal government and the state government so that we can expand our highway.
So the federal monies presumably would come from the block grant.
Absolutely.
But the state government, I know you're not running for office to go to Sacramento, but they have a transportation funding crisis.
Yes. But when you look at the funding streams, they all complement one another.
Okay.
The federal government, the state, and the local communities.
So when you get to Washington, presuming victory, what types of work, what types of committees would you hope to join? Do you want to look at transportation?
Transportation is one of the committees that I certainly will be looking to become a member of if given that opportunity.
What about agriculture? And I ask you that because you drive through Ventura, Santa Barbara, and San Luis Obispo counties. You see beautiful fields, strawberries, grapes. I mean, there's so much there, even despite the drought.
Yeah, certainly agriculture is a very important committee that I have also been giving consideration to. But keep in mind that as a freshman, if you're elected to Congress, you are only given certain opportunities. So I'm just trying to be realistic. If I'm lucky enough and successful enough to win the 24th Congressional District this November, I will be looking at a number of committees.
So ag, transportation, what else is on your mind?
Natural resources,
okay, as
well as veterans.
And as I understand it, you'll get assigned to 2 committees? Is that basically how it works?
You get 2 to 3.
Oh, 2 to 3, okay.
It's my understanding.
So it's an exciting time. I'm sure you've learned a lot by coming down to NACO. And I'm sure that the friends you've made at NACO will be friends should you go to Washington, because
absolutely
there are a lot of cross-pollination issues going on.
My service on NACO has really been great in really working to promulgate resolutions to have a platform that advocates in Washington for the things that are important counties.
He is Salud Carbajal. I'm Brad Pomerance from NACO, Charter Local Edition.